Hello, everyone. Welcome to the InsightX Show. And as you all already know, in this show, we try to talk to a lot of leaders and industry experts, try to get some idea on how they are dealing with a lot of things at their work, which can help you to learn and eventually make the job transition you are looking forward to do. And today we have Nisha Tijare. Nisha comes with a vast experience of around 22 years, and currently she is a senior director for Insight Sales in Oracle. Hi, Nisha. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me here.
Nice. So Nisha, 22 years, right? So like it's 2 decades already, and you have been into different kind of roles, mostly leadership, mostly inside sales, right? How does it feel that, today if you sit and look back and say 22 years, man, into sales, right? So, how do you feel? What kind of feeling do you get?
I still feel that we just started. It's actually 25th year. I started my career in 2000. So it's been now the 25th year into the sales journey. And the beauty about sales as a function is it evolves very drastically. So you have to adapt, you have to change, you have to unlearn and learn at a very fast pace. So you just don't get time to think. You are never completely there. You think you're there, and then things change, and then you start all over again, and it keeps you on the toes always, and that's the best part about sales. So at now when I look back and I see, there is definitely a great satisfaction that I chose sales. I think I was probably made for it, and I enjoy it every single day.
Nice. I'm glad that you said that word enjoying, right? I think when you enjoy, it doesn't feel like work anymore, right? Okay, this is one question which is my favorite, and I asked to every guest on this show. Was it sales by choice or sales by chance? How did you enter into this?
It was just by chance, just an accident. It was never my first choice. So I am a botanist from an education point of view, and then I did my MBA in HR. So I always wanted to do a back office work. I never wanted to be in the sales side, and I started my career with pharma company as an operations executive, and then joined Tata Teleservices as operations executive for Gujarat and MP Chhattisgarh. Then I got married and had to move to Nasik.
Okay.
This is like 2004. So Nasik was a pretty small city at that point in time, and there weren't many functions. So, my company said that the only role available is sales. I thought I'll take it, and then I'll figure out
Okay.
something else. And then it just happened. So it was never a choice. It was, and it says that probably there's someone planning things better for you than what you can plan for yourself. I believe in that.
Right, right. Imagine you got married and moved to a different role as well, and like 25 years and you're here already, right? So I think most of the people in sales, they enter by chance, right? That's same in my case as well. I think for most of them, it's not the first choice, but later we start enjoying it.
Yeah, but now I see, so I've been associated with campus placements for last 15 years now. I visit a lot of institutes, and now I do see more awareness with the sales role. People do look forward to coming and joining sales roles. So
Yeah.
there have been quite a gradual shift in how people look at sales now versus what people used to look at sales when we started our career.
Exactly. Do you think that is because of the SaaS evolution as well, which is happening currently, so that even people outside, they know a lot about, different roles and how the sales motion functions in all of these companies? There's more education. That's what I feel.
Yeah, 100%. It is more awareness. Obviously, thanks to digitization, there's a lot of information available for people to look at. I see a lot of institutes now having micro-credential courses,
Yeah.
to kind of facilitate a more clear understanding on sales motion, on profiling, on every aspect of sales process and methodology. With a lot of that, there is definitely more awareness today than what it was earlier. Organizations also take deep interest in spreading this awareness. So it's a lot of factors that has led to this thing. Also,
Yeah.
the sales roles have changed.
Hmm.
Uh, Earlier, if you ask somebody a perception of salesperson, it would be somebody with a bag hopping, doing cold calling from door to door, selling and stuff like that. Now, when you go browse for a salesman image, it's somebody with a blazer sitting in front of computer. The image itself has changed. While
Yeah.
I think it's just the motion, we end up doing exactly the same thing to certain degree. But the image has changed a
Yeah.
lot. What it was earlier to today.
Right. Right. And now you have worked with SaaS companies, you have worked with large enterprises as well in your last 25 years of experience. How have you seen sales evolving, and what do you think the future will look like, especially in SaaS or IT sales?
Very difficult to predict, I would say, because I think we are amongst those fortunate people who have seen two industrial revolutions. We've seen the digitization stride, we have seen now the automation stride coming over. When I
Yeah.
started the company, I was selling the PCO booth, the STD PCO booth, and then came the coin boxes, the 1 rupee coin
Yeah.
boxes. Tata Teleservices came up with the CDMA, the 7-digit mobile number, almost after 2.5 years of me joining the organization. So, our cell used to be very product driven, very, very
Yeah.
product driven, very, very people dependent, to now if you see because of SaaS adoption, because of cloud adoption, because of the need for process efficiency and
Yeah.
data driven insights. Now people want automation. There is an automation wave, there is a generative AI wave, and people don't want to miss the bus. They want to start
Yeah.
early, adapt early. So now things have changed a lot in terms of sales motion. When I started, there wasn't any inside sales motion because people thought you got to sit in front of customers. You have to tell them the product. Yet they don't know the
Yeah.
product. So you talk product, it's people to people. It's still traditional. And then with more, customers being aware, customers referring to a lot of, with internet, lot of information available for them to self study. Now,
Yeah.
most of the time when you walk into the shop, you've already seen 5 reviews. You've made few reference calls. The salesperson, you hardly depend on salesperson for product information. That
Right.
you more
Right.
or less have. So now you see a lot of virtual sales, the digital tech teams, the inside sales team, a lot of different motion, omni-channel opening up. There was never a need of omni-channels earlier,
Yeah.
marketplaces coming up. So yeah, the sales motion has transformed, and it would be very difficult to predict what the sales motion of future would be because I've seen a clear shift from people to, process and automation and data.
Right.
So I think the future again, I see would definitely depend a lot on, again, more based on processes, more based on data, insights,
Yeah.
and revolving around the agility. The core in future is going to be around agility and efficiency. It's the time to market. It's more of a valuation game now. So it's very different.
Yeah, right. Makes sense. I think we have already moved from product-centric approach to the problem-centric approach. Now, I think most of our customers would want to know how we can solve their problem. They're least bothered about the product features, right? And I think the future, as you said, yeah, data-centric approaches, AI-centric approaches will matter a lot, even for any product-based companies and even for salespeople. Now, in these last 25 years, you have been an individual contributor. You have been a manager or a team lead kind of role, and now you are in more of a leadership kind of role, right? More of strategic kind of role. So what kind of mindset shift have you seen in yourself when you have passed these three stages, right? From an individual contributor, what kind of mindset did you have? Then how did you evolve to a team lead, right? It's managing small teams, then more of a strategic role. So how do you see your mindset evolving in these stages?
I think a lot of transformation is needed at every step of change. When I was an independent contributor, it was, more of a self-driven person who would want to have a lot of things under your own control. You want to control what is the presentation that would go to customer. You want to look at every small details, to the last level. You want to take the ownership of everything, and you want to be on top of every single thing. You want to be there. You just want to be in control of every single element of the sales cycle. Then when you move to a manager role, you realize that you can't have control over everything.
Yeah.
You have to open your arms. You have to let them make their own mistakes. You got to let your team figure out their own way while you be there to kind of support them in case they fail, to guide them from time to time, just steer. You can't tell, your rovers do this, do that, them.
Yeah.
So, from being in complete control and trying to be, a control freak kind of a person to being, where the trust takes, the center position, and you allow people to make their own mistakes, because it's important. It's
Yeah.
important that they fail, and they fail fast, so that, they improve over time. And when you move to strategic leadership, it's absolutely different. Now you got to marry organization and people. The
Yeah.
alignment is very important,
Mm-hmm.
ensuring that the communication is right and they are aligned to where the organization wants, them to go, the objectives. At the same time, aligning their personal aspirations,
Mm-hmm.
in a way that their growth is aligned to company's growth. So a lot of alignment things come into picture. You become catalyst. A lot of times, even at a manager level, at times you look at short terms, maybe, a year goal or a 2 year goal,
Yeah.
at max a 5 year goal. But at a strategic leadership level, you got to look at the larger picture. It's not just about where you'd be a year, 2 year, 5 year down the line. It's also how you want to be there, why you want to be there, what's the impact you want to create, how are you changing things for larger good of the country, of the company, generally.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of purpose that gets aligned to at a bigger picture. You are aligned to a purpose, whether you're IC manager or strategic leader, but
Mm-hmm.
the canvas just keeps getting bigger and bigger as you move up the ladder.
Right. Right. And I'm sure a lot of things change in your personality and the way you look at challenges as well as you grow up the ladder. So as an IC, whatever look like a very big challenge might not be like a very big challenge to you once you are into a leadership kind of
So I
role.
laugh a lot of times when I look at my own replicas in my team members now,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and how I used to be 20 years. The things that matter to them, the emotional connect that they have over small things, and they feel
Mm-hmm.
bad. And now you look at it and you feel like, this is not the life is, there are bigger challenges to take care. And now, a lot of time I tell to these people that you can't waste so much time over small fights. It's
Mm.
it's the bigger battle that you got to prepare yourself for. I've changed a lot to be able to understand my responsibilities as I have
Mm-hmm.
grown. And obviously, every growth needs you to unlearn and learn a lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to adapt. And I think the biggest quality today, in today's time, if you were to be successful, in this era of generative AI, automation, and digitization, you got to be adaptive. I mean, that's
Yeah.
one, every person I speak to, I say, adapt. You just keep adapting
Yeah.
to things, and, align yourself, and the magic will happen. I've always believed that sales is science. If you
Yeah.
process the right methodology, the right steps, results are just the byproduct. Nobody can stop, ensuring that your results are delivered. It's
Yeah.
just that you bring your own art
Mm-hmm.
and make that journey look different, more creative, and, just make it more efficient. That's all about
Yeah.
it. All that you can bring in is a little art. Otherwise, just understand the science, and science will take care of it.
Yeah. I think this is one of my mentor told the same thing. He said that, we are all artists as salespeople. Okay. And because, there might be a lot happening in our personal lives and all of that, but still when you come for you, the customer is important. You go on calls, you give the best what your customer needs, and you end the call and you help the customer. Done. So that's why we are artists. At the same time, it's science backed, right? So there is a lot of science which is involved behind this as well.
Yeah.
But I
We
mean,
face maximum rejections as inside
yeah.
sales. On an average, we make about 120 calls,
Mm,
hardly 10 acceptance. So we
yeah.
face about 110 rejections every single day.
Exactly.
You still
Yeah.
pick up the second call with the same smile, with the same positivity, with the same energy, enthusiasm, and you go on. And I think it
Hmm.
also helps you make a better individual.
Yeah.
You are more empathetic, because you understand that you value people's time more, you value your time better, and you can empathize because you know you are solving somebody's challenge.
Yeah.
So that gratitude is there in you for the organization. You've been able to solve that because you are a part of the organization that is
Hmm.
helping you to do that. At the same time, you're grateful to the customer for their trust in you to solve their problem. हम किसी पे
Yeah,
भरोसा नहीं करते हैं. I can't,
absolutely.
normally as human beings, we are skeptical at first. So if there's somebody who's putting a trust on you, it's such a gratitude. You feel so grateful about the whole experience.
Yeah, I mean, that word gratefulness, right? I think that's very important because a lot of times as salespeople, what we do is we focus on what is not there and we fall in the same loop thinking of what is not going right all the time. But whereas we are not seeing what all we have on the plate, right? So, like, what did the customer respond the last time when I helped that person, right? So, those moments, right, which is going to make this job much more beautiful on daily basis. I think we should cherish more of that as well. The good things.
Yeah. I
Right.
have this post-it on my desk, and I always read that, control the controllables. Just
Yeah.
focus on the things that you can control and put your energy there rather than, putting your energies into discovering things that are not working.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I have started exploring stoicism a bit in recent days, and that's the number one lesson they teach there, focus on what you can control and be in alignment with the nature. That's it. The simple, right? It's made very simple. So you focus on that, rest of the things fall in place, right? Okay, Nisha, like if you would want to give a message to someone like you, like let's say you 25 years ago, right? Just started, got into sales for some reason, hustling day in, day out now, but going through a lot of tough times, unable to figure out what's right, what's wrong, right? What is that one thing you would want to tell that person today?
Ask for help. A lot of times I see we struggle because we are shy in asking for help, and we think it is our individual failure if we don't know things or if we are not able to deliver results. Over all these years, I've never felt shy of asking for help. I feel, and if my career is to, be a data point for that, I think I'm a good negotiator. I negotiate what I want. I raise my hand for help. I have my voice at the table. So to every person who's starting the career, our early stages of the career, first of all, don't be hard on yourself. A result does not define what you're doing, but not asking for help, not talking to people definitely is something that would take you little behind than everyone else. You cannot know it all, and it's fine to not know it all, and there are people to help. Like you said, when I started my career, I've pinged so many people. Uma, from VMware now, she started. When I was struggling at my strategic leadership layer, I pinged her on LinkedIn and she connected with me and I could speak with her, and, that kind of helped me. There are a lot of these leaders across in the industry that I've spoken with. I've sought help. The alliances, the power of alliances is brilliant. Just help without any selfish interest. If you feel there is a customer's challenge, you can refer somebody from the industry to solve the problem, to bring the bigger picture to life. Help them. Refer good solutions. Be a great consultant. Be authentic. Be genuine. So to everyone, I would only say, there are a lot of people to help. You would need network. You would need alliances. You cannot achieve anything alone. And you have to start building an ecosystem from day one.
Yeah. Seek for help. That's the message.
Seek for
we
help.
take from
Seek
this.
for help. And that works across, that works across at your personal life also, at professional life also. Today I've got 2 boys. Now they're grown up, but even when I was pregnant with them and, all those years, I've never taken a career break because I could build a ecosystem, plan an ecosystem to support me when I'm going through those phases. I've had my own setbacks and challenges, but I kept building my own ecosystem, both at work, and in personal lives. And that kind of supported me. There is so much that now I feel blessed about, because we can have this conversation on a Sunday, without me worrying about a lot of things to be taken care of, because I know I have an ecosystem that would take care of it.
Yeah, absolutely, Nisha. Makes sense. We were talking about the leadership, the roles and management, right? I missed one question which just flashed on my mind. When I was managing teams, currently now I'm into individual contribution role, but before this I have good amount of 4-5 years of experience in managing people. The major challenge for me was, the pressure which comes from up cannot be passed down. Right? You have to get the work done. You cannot pass the same. But I see a lot of managers, right? They do that. Like, for example, if it's a hard conversation that they had with their manager, they just come and vent it out on the team, right? What are your thoughts on this? And like, for me, that was the most difficult thing to do, but I managed somehow. Okay, it took a lot from my side, a lot of energy, drained, but still I somehow managed. In those kind of situations, what was your mindset like? What were you doing?
So I think the definition of pressure is also a lot diluted today.
Mm-hmm.
So I've worked with some of the great leaders, some of the great managers over my career, and they've been very strict. Their training style has been very disciplined. There is no room for you to go wrong. Even when, it was very data driven and stuff like that. And we used to be scared to not plan things and to not be ready in front of customers. And I think of late, a lot of youngsters, when we ask them to do things in a disciplined manner, when you ask them to, drive process in a certain way, they feel pressurized. Now, I don't call that as a pressure, if you ask
Yeah.
me. But yeah, I have always said this, and, there has to be fire. But the fire shouldn't be under the people. You should burn the fire within them. They should feel the pinch more when things are not working internally. You should never feel the need to pass on the heat to them, for them to feel frustrated, or, for them to feel failed, or for them to feel nervous. I think, like I said, I come it to again, this is my personal belief also. When things don't work out, you are in sales. The numbers will never be always on your side. There'll always be
Yeah.
days when you've not been able to deliver up to your expectations. But when that happens, my natural response to that is that we go to self-reflection. We go to seeing what's working, what's not working. We seek advice. Again, we go collaborate more. And I think I have passed on. I see, my team members doing the same, and I see a lot of good leaders around doing the same. They burn, we look for hungry, humble, smart people. When you look for
Yeah.
hungry, humble, smart people, then you don't need to pass pressure to them. They know what they are supposed to deliver. They know how to deliver it. You just got to support them, and the things will happen. Just because you've had a bad message does not mean you pass the same message in the same
Yeah.
words. But you definitely communicate the gravity of the situation. But that has to be, there's a reason why there are hierarchies, right? So somebody would handle you differently. You would handle the, people with you differently. They'll handle the people with them differently. That's why there are hierarchies. So it can't be, just the same way coming down. And I've always
Exactly.
believed burn fire within them, and things will fall in place.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you ensure, right? This is something which
Yeah.
flashed now. While you are handling all these things as a leader or a manager, right? How do you also ensure the culture is in place for them, right? Or there is some sort of psychological safety which is in place so that they can be vocal about the problems that they face and they are not in any sort of fear, the team members, right? How do you ensure the culture is in place for them?
So I think if your team members talk to each other more often, they have their own open channels of communication. Then I think the first step for culture is that you have a diversity. So that if somebody is, so there are people to stand and support each other. You can't be good at everything. So, you should have people who are absolutely brilliant with communication. You should have specialists in your team who absolutely know how to consult and, how to have a framework in place. Then you have people who are absolutely brilliant with relationships. There are good negotiators. So you have diverse talent within your team. Then you bring these people together. Then when they are together, when they don't come to manager first to ask for help, and they reach out to each other and they know that they'd be helped, you've sown the seeds for a good culture. Because most often than not, at office place, even when you have a tough day at home, you want to go to office and talk to your friend, just went
Yeah.
out, feel good, and start again. You are as good as the 5 people that you are surrounded with. So if you have a team which is diverse and you are surrounded with absolutely well performing team members and you are down, they will make sure that they bring you at par. If you're sitting next to someone who's good at something that you are not, they'll bring you at par. So you got to open channels for people to be available for each other at any point in time, where people don't look at watch, don't look at, why, other things, and they're just there for each other. And
Yeah.
that can happen through, only genuine conversations. So as a leader, to build culture, I emphasize on doing those small things that kind of give them platform to have conversations, give them platform to understand each other. Anything, informal conversations, having lunches, or maybe, a dinner together, not being a part of the team when they are having their own fun time, let them be themselves.
Yeah.
I think celebrating their individual achievements also at personal level. So, that makes you more closer. In my team, we all celebrate, we've celebrated a lot of achievements of, somebody's kid has done really well in 10th grade, or, a school annual function day. The pictures are all over the group. My
Okay.
son performed or my daughter performed, and people would give tips. You have to perform. There is a music show that somebody is going. People would pour in the recommendation. So you don't limit the conversations to only transactional conversations at
Yeah.
work. But when people to people connect, they'll build the cultures themselves. Important is to be able to feel safe to talk to anyone. It is
Yeah.
important to feel secured that you won't be judged. People won't have
Right.
perceptions about you. And a place where it is very clear that you can't make loose statements. You respect everybody's individuality. You respect, the presence of every single person in the team, and you appreciate the reason that they are there and the value that they bring to the team. That's culture. That's just culture, mutual respect, admiration,
Yeah.
and it's culture.
Absolutely. There were two things which I tried to make it a part of culture when I was managing teams, and to genuinity and curiosity. So like even the team members, right? They have to be genuinely, interested in each other. Like we always say that, right? Be genuinely interested in your customer. So show some genuine care. That is when you will figure out
Correct.
what problems they have. Same thing has to be done in between among the team members as well. You should be genuinely interested in knowing each other, where they come from, what they are up to, do they need help anywhere, and be curious. You just walk up anywhere in the floor, try to seek some information. These are the two things which I also feel that it's very, very important for to keep the culture in place amidst all the revenue pressure, targets, chasing, and all of that. That's always there. That's thrilling, right? And that's thrill. But yeah, on the other side, you have to make sure you are genuine and you are
And humor,
curious.
I think humor
Hmm.
is the key. If you can laugh with people, you can cry
Yeah,
with them too. You
exactly.
just it just
I
makes
mean,
you
that's a
feel
good thing.
so
Yeah.
better.
So you might be managing various personalities, right? There might be someone who's really excited, motivated. There might be someone who is dull, a bit lazy, demotivated about something, which is not going right, or someone lazy as well at times, right? You might have come across all these kind of personalities. How do you deal with them?
So it depends. First of all, there could be a little. So every person is different.
Mm-hmm.
Like you treat every plant differently. Some may need less water, some may need more water, some may need
Hmm.
less heat, some may need more heat. Every plant is different. Every human being is different, and you got to handle them differently. You got to provide them exactly what they need.
Hmm.
Na zyada na kam. Just
Yeah.
what is needed for them. And for you to be able to do that, you need to know them well. If you assume that you know them, then you will end up making mistakes. But if you really know your people, uh, then you know what is it, in what amount, at what intervals you got to provide to
Hmm.
them. But again, a pre-step as a leader, especially at this stage, I would say that attitude, behavior is something that we won't compromise. So if there
Hmm.
is someone who is genuinely not right for that role,
Yeah.
or who does not feel, who has bad behavior, you may be a performer, but you just not the right,
Hmm.
you don't have the right approach, right empathy,
Mm-hmm.
just so rude at leadership. I feel that it's important to take a decision and let them not be the part of your team, rather than trying to change them. You can support people
Mm-hmm.
who need support, who are willing to learn, who are willing to take feedback, who are
Yeah.
open, who are authentic.
Mm-hmm.
But people who have attitude problems, who are not open to change,
Yeah.
there's no point investing. I mean, I personally do not want to invest, because I'm in an organization, I have to deliver results. rather than investing on somebody which would take much longer time, and I don't even know whether it would make sense or not because the person does not have a bind to
Yeah.
change. I'd rather take
Mhm.
a call, take a quick decision, and have the right people doing the right job. And then it's my duty to kind of support them. Earlier, when we started our careers, our leader used to have a lot of conversations with us. That time, there weren't many ID profiling tools. Now that we have at our leisure, we can do Thomas profiling, Gallup profile. A lot of profiling tools are available that could be a facilitator for us to know individual personalities and for
Yeah.
us to kind of change our leadership language and style to kind of adapt to their styles and their requirements and deliver. But
Mhm.
traditionally, we've spoken to our leaders, and with their experience, they would know, what's the challenge each person would face. If this person is introvert, how do you provide a platform, so that
Mm.
then there are a lot of times, your most introvert team members have the most creative ideas, just that
Yeah.
they are shy to talk about it.
Mm.
That is something where you need to know that, you have one-on-one conversation with them. If they are more
Mm.
comfortable with written form of contest to give ideas, you put that kind of ways also and not keep it open always. You look at all different people. Like I said, give them what they need in the right quantity at right intervals. But yeah, and then the things are taken care of. There are people who've taken care of me like that, and I'm
Mhm.
just taking their legacy ahead. Whatever good people have done to me that has helped me
Mhm.
perform better. I've delivered a lot of things. I've come from place where you know I had challenges speaking English because we studied in the vernacular language,
Mm.
and then suddenly English communication in English became must. We had typewriters. There were never computer when we
Yeah.
started a career, and then suddenly computers come in. Our CRM used to be one page that we'd fill and submit. There used to be
Sheets. Yeah.
customer application forms to now online ordering documents. And our leaders have supported us that we never even realized that we have made the shift. It was
Mm.
so seamless. It was so natural. And it's just because they knew how to get things done from us. And different things, some people are excited by incentives, some people are excited by power, some people by
Mm.
money, some people are excited just by helping others, and
Yeah.
you just leverage all of that. You understand what excites them, and then support them and get things done. And I think over the period, you learn this by experience. This
Mm.
cannot be taught
Yeah.
through some book or through a
Mm.
classroom course. This only comes, I think, with experience. You see how people do things with you, what's working, what's not working for
Yeah.
you, for your friends, and then you try and then you learn as you progress. You make your own mistakes. I think I've made maximum mistakes. I can write a book on the failures I've had in my life throughout and of the blunders I've done throughout. So I can talk on what's not working at a much greater detail at some point in time.
Yeah. Yeah. Learning from mistakes is very important. I totally loved the analogy of the plant that you gave, right? Especially in people management. I think that's important. Who needs water? Who needs heat, fertilizer, whatever it is, a leader should always know when to give what in the right proportion as well. That's very important. And it comes with experience, as you said, right? One can't learn it through books or just watching some videos and all of that, right? I'm totally loving this conversation, Nisha, right? So we have so far covered on, how your mindset has shifted from an individual contributor to a leader. What's your mindset currently as a leader, and how do you tackle challenges, and how the industry has evolved and all of that. Now, the last segment, right? So what we'll try to get into is we'll get into the hiring side of things, right? Why? Because I want a lot of freshers or a lot of even experienced folks who want to get into similar roles, similar domains, who want to get into SaaS sales, IT sales, right? I want them to have some information which can help them prepare well for their next job roles. Okay, so we'll get into that now. Currently, one major transition I'm seeing in the industry is a lot of people from B2C, okay, are shifting towards B2B. Okay, various reasons, right? Might be anything. So now, from your perspective, right, are these big tech companies or even SaaS companies, are they very much open to hire these people, right? And what kind of skill sets should these people possess in order to at least, get their interviews or, interview scheduled, resume shortlisted and all of that? What is it something they should prepare and come while coming?
Oh, I think hiring has changed in tech companies a lot. in a lot of aspects. Okay. Like when I started my career in big companies or even in Indian multinationals, if you were to grow, you had to have MBA from eminent institutes. There were certain years of experience that you would need to necessarily have if you were to be moved to a leadership positions.
Yeah.
Now, you can't be promoted. If you promoted this year, 2 years, 3 years, you can't be promoted again. There were a lot of these things because those were the days when even organization was looking at longevity. People weren't, attrition was not even a problem. People
Right.
wanted to retire from the organizations that they would join into. To now, organizations are more open, more experimental. They have seen the benefits of diversity,
Yeah.
unorthodox, non-traditional hiring. There have been a lot of surprises, for organizations when they have done diverse, not sticking to the book hiring and even promotions, and they're more open. So the companies that I see, now the big companies that you've named, their hiring today, I think, is more open.
Hmm.
So if somebody wants to come make a shift from B2C to B2B, to from a non-sales function to a sales function, from a non-IT to an IT industry, the organizations are open.
Hmm.
What is needed, though, still is your ability to learn things fast.
Hmm.
Now, the expectations from the organization also is that you start to deliver results, perform,
Yeah.
much earlier than what used to be the expectations early, 10, 15 years back. So, and now there are more of these micro credential courses available for you to understand technology. Like I said, I came from a non-technical background. 99% of my career has been in technical domain only.
Hmm. Hmm.
I can set up a data center from putting up a server to network switch to installing a SaaS application. I can understand the technology in details. Now at our home we talk technology, from formulas. We understand physics much better than what we used to when we were in
Right.
school. But that is because we've shown the interest to learn,
Hmm.
to adapt technology. And it's much easier because kids are born the way they use mobile gadgets or
Hmm.
a lot of other things. I think they are innately wired to understand technology much faster. You got to display that. You need to know basics. And please, the flip side of this is there are a lot of agencies and now a lot of generative AI and tools that develop a resume for you for any
Yeah.
role. And they just fix, so if you're coming to sales, you got to be good in communication, negotiation, X, Y, Z, and you put
Yeah.
automatically those things as strengths in your resume. And when you interview them, you realize that they have no examples to demonstrate any of
Yeah.
it. Okay,
Hmm.
so I would always tell this to anybody, the company that you're joining, please go to the website of the company. Understand whether you'd be able to learn those technologies, whether you'll understand what is the larger problem they are solving. You know, जो चीज आप एक छोटे बच्चे को या to your grandparents, if you can explain what that company does in a simple language, then you are ready to give an interview for that organization.
Yeah.
You need to understand that company in that simplified way before you go for an interview. You can't just learn some 2 3 statements or go hear the recent keynotes and pick 2 3 lines and talk about it. You really need to understand the core essence of the company that you are applying for. And
Yeah.
once you have that genuine interest and you are genuinely aligned, then I think any organization would be open, to hire you because they would understand and see that you align to them and you've taken the efforts to know them and you know the exact why you want to join them.
Yeah. Yeah. Doing good amount of research, and as you said, right, if they can explain the technology to their children or to their grandparents, yeah, then maybe you fit into that kind of role, you can try, right?
Correct.
Okay. What about people who are working in, let's say, a small scale SaaS company currently, and they want to get into big tech companies with complex, sales cycles, complex products, and all of that, right? How do you think? What do you think are the one or two important things they should keep in mind before applying to these kind of roles, or how they should prepare themselves?
Very, very good question. And I'll tell you, this is more relevant to my recent experience. So I've been a part of Beam Software, which is a global leader in data protection, data security space. They are
Yeah.
they are leading the data protection thing, and they are a SaaS provider.
Mm-hmm.
The average close cycle, though, for data protection, in 2.5 months, and you largely meet the technical decision makers because, in the sales cycle, the SaaS applications come much later. Now, also, I am into a SaaS space. We're selling Oracle Fusion applications. Again, Oracle is a global leader, Fusion applications. If you want to increase your proficiency, efficiency, you don't have a choice but not to have your applications in place and stuff like that. But the sales cycle are much larger. There
Yeah.
are not just IT, but there is business operations, there is finance, there is IT, a lot of there's procurement, there's HR. Because this is application spread across various departments, a lot of people need to come together and understand the application impact.
Yeah.
The sales cycle is bigger, the people involved are much larger. So, personally for me also, when I did this transition from one SaaS provider to another SaaS provider, I had to understand more personas. I had to understand more business outcomes. You also need to understand, your sales methodology change, process change. See,
Yeah.
sales motion is directly linked to the methodology and the process. As your target audience, as as your processes change, your sales motion completely changes. So if you're
Yeah.
making a transition from one to another, you need to
Mm-hmm.
be aware that a lot of things that you are doing here, you may not be able to apply there. And you
Yeah.
may need to learn a lot of things, to be successful there, though both the companies are the SaaS companies. And,
Yeah.
that awareness is important. Once you have that awareness that you got to make this transition, then it's fine, then you can do it. But if you feel ke, मैंने ये किया है तो वो भी कर लूंगा, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It just doesn't
Hmm.
work.
Right. I mean, what you covered in the previous conversation as well, right? You adapt yourself. Like adaptability is important, and you got to be open to learn when you're making these shifts and all of that, right? Yeah, makes sense. Right. I think I'm done with all the questions that I wanted to ask you, right? And I totally enjoyed this conversation today, Nisha, right? We covered
The
a
same here,
lot of
Vijay.
different. Yeah, please go ahead.
No, I'm saying I have thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. I've also personally learned a lot of things from this conversation with, while I know your curiosity is something I'm going to dwell upon. I have this morning 8 to 8:30 my self-reflection time daily. It's already in my mind and I've written in my diary, okay, don't think about it now. You got to keep it for your thinking tomorrow. So thank you so much for this, engaging conversation where, and also for this platform where, my thoughts could reach out to larger audience. And through your platform, I just want to communicate to every listener, ask for help. If you think I can be of any help, be assured I'm around.
Yeah.
I owe to a lot of people who are behind, my career progression. And if there's any way I can be of any help to anyone, I'd consider it to be my fortune.
Great, great. Yeah, thank you so much for that. And yeah, seek for help is the major message I'll take again today, right? Like it's a reiterating factor for me after this conversation. Somewhere we forget that, right? As we spend some time working and all of that. Yeah, I'll ensure I make sure that I seek for help whenever I need. And yeah, that was a great conversation. Enjoyed this. I'm hoping that our audience as well will get a lot of insights. We have covered major things here for someone to be a part of tech sales, how they can evolve, learn, and eventually become better. So once again, I'm grateful for the time you have given us today, Nisha. Yeah, what we'll do is we'll also ask our audience to post some questions and we can maybe do a Q&A session as well, depending on the number of questions we get in.
Sure. Like I said, happy to help.